Hello and welcome back to Live Laugh Stuck. I am Jackie, aka Jax, and as you might guess from the title of this episode, presuming you read the title of this episode, along with me today is Moosie.
Hello.
I'm gonna find another Moosie one day and just bring them on instead of you, and just like, well, it's still the Moosielogues. I
It's
don't know.
April Fool's Day next year.
Yeah, April Fool's Day next year. One day I'll actually do an April Fool's Day episode. I feel like shit just keeps happening around this time. Like this year I was moving and I didn't
Mhm.
do shit. This is the first time we have recorded in like over a month for sure. 2 months maybe?
It's been a little bit.
We are done with Candy now. We've read epilogue 7, 8 and the postscript,
Yes.
which I'm sure that was another meta thing is like isn't it so weird that the epilogues had a postscript? That's usually for letters. Sorry, I
Yeah.
recently reread Hussey's fucking bridges and off ramps about the epilogues because people are claiming that I'm not reading it right, and I am,
You're
and
not
I'm not going to
reading
go
the
on that rant.
story. You're not reading the actual text properly.
Like, no, okay, so I'll get into this a little bit, but people are saying that actually the epilogues in Homestuck 2 are 100% supposed to be canon, and I'm just being too literal about dubiously canon or beyond canon or whatever the hell, and I'm completely misunderstanding Hussey's off bridges and off ramps essay, even though that says multiple times explicitly that this is not canon. This is for what the fans do whatever with. If they want to just stick with up to Act 7, they can. They can just not give a shit about anything that comes after. They can pave over everything that comes after. That's the point of this. And it was just so funny that I was like, you know what? I'm pretty sure I'm right about this, but it's easily available for me to read really quick. So let me go through it and read it again. And no, Hussey says so many times explicitly, basically verbatim, that if people just want to stick with up to Act 7, then they can, and they don't have to pay attention to anything that comes after. And some people are still like, actually, it is all canon, and you have to love, pay attention to every single bit of it and treat all of it as canon, even if you're not reading it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, little accidental rant there. It's just, but it is kind of relevant because that's like a lot of that's what the epilogues is dealing with, right? Is canon, and like
Mhm.
they're really hitting you in the face with it in these last couple of sections. They're just really making you suck the dick of what canon means. I don't know why I phrased it like that. I don't know why I phrased it like that. It doesn't even make sense. Okay. Do you have equally? Are you like, no, actually, this was chill. I don't know. I don't know what
No.
Jax is all up about. This is actually fine.
No, I just continue having the like, what am I reading and why am I reading it? And like I said to you before we started recording, it feels like each chapter one action occurs, but there's a lot of text. So it's like chapter 30, uh, Jane's father passed. That's what we get from that part.
Yeah.
Chapter 32, Gamzee dies. Something like that.
I think you'll have the same feelings, but in a different way when we go back to Meat. Like, there's stuff that I'm definitely like, I liked better how this happened in Meat, but like, also Dirk's there, you know? I'm biased because Dirk's there, and I don't like what they do with Dirk in like many ways, but in some ways, I really like what they do with Dirk. So I think I'm just like, my rose tinted lenses have fallen off the Candy epilogues and have applied themselves a little worse for wear to the Meat epilogues. So when we get there, I'm sure, like, I know I already had like plenty of annoyed things to say about Meat, but I am reminiscing about it as I finished reading through this, which isn't good. It's setting me up for failure. I don't know. Like, this was honestly eye opening. When I first read the epilogues, I liked them. And it wasn't until there was like an insane like backlash from the fans of like, even if they liked the epilogues, they were like shitty about Dirk, they were shitty about certain actions, they were shitty about people who liked certain things or didn't like certain things. And I'm like, okay, I'm fucking off from this actually. I don't want to hear anything about the epilogues, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I just built it up on my head and I, got overly frustrated about stuff. And I'm reading it and I'm like, even the things I thought were cool then suck when I read it now.
What did you think was cool back then?
God, in Candy, honestly, I think I had more of a problem with Candy than with Meat, but I think I took it at more of its intended artistic value of like this is the shitty timeline and stuff. And I think it actually is. There is one section at the end of this that I remember explicitly liking from Candy. And I almost like it here now, except now I know that it gets ruined almost on the first page of Homestuck 2, which is kind of what got me to stop reading Homestuck 2. That like one of the few things I loved from Candy just got immediately retconned and destroyed, and no one cares about it in Homestuck 2.
uh,
Like, I don't know. I think John's written really well. I still think John is written really well throughout like basically all of this. There are like some quibbles I have with it, but I think like people got the John voice down more than they got the voice for literally any other character, basically. Yeah, I don't remember about like what Candy specifically I liked. I know a lot of I read Candy first, so a lot of the thing I liked about Meat was Dirk isn't dead. Dirk was alive in there, so I liked Meat better. I'm one of those people that when new thing comes out for a series I like new thing. They could shit on a plate and hand it to me, and I like new thing. And then it takes me a while to like be more critical of it, right?
mhm.
Like even if I still like really, really like it, I have to like get through it first and then maybe get through it a second time or just sit down and think about it and talk with other people before I do anything beyond just like I like thing because thing is from thing I like. And I didn't get a chance to like sit down and properly like go through it myself because of the immediate fandom reaction was so extreme in some ways that I just had a lot of negative associations with it. That wasn't because of us coming together to discuss what happened in it and argue about it, but was people saying, you'll understand this a lot more in Meat, but I had to block the tag for Dirk on Homestuck because people were being so fucking shitty about him and about his fans and being really transandrophobic about it, really being homophobic about it. So as a Dirk fan, I was in hell. Jane fans were in hell. Gamzee fans were in hell. It was a bad time on like to be on Twitter at this time. That didn't answer your question. I don't know what I liked about it, except for the fact that it was Homestuck, and I just came away feeling positively about it, I guess.
Didn't you say you like made a musical of Candy or something?
Yes, and I like my musical. That's what I like about Candy. I actually reference it a few times in this because some of the songs keeps getting stuck in my head that I wrote. I don't know. Like I think Candy like I wrote a musical for Candy and I meant to like continue it past where Candy ended. I had like 2 songs past where Candy ended, but then the Homestuck 2 came out and so just kind of stopped writing it. And then for me, I started writing a thing where you know how like Dirk takes over the narrative? I had a thing where I self-inserted, like me as the reader suddenly also got control of the narrative and started fucking with Dirk,
Mm.
which was fun, but I barely got through that. Yeah, I mean, like just because I can make a musical of Candy doesn't necessarily mean I liked it more than Meat. I don't even know. I think because I made some sad stuck songs about Dirk, and it just got turned into a musical after that, I guess. Anyway, that's we're delaying talking about
So
these.
anyway, chapter
So anyway, epilogue
29.
7, chapter 29. Okay, so I think I might have accidentally read this before because my first thing is I swear we did this last time, but maybe I just accidentally read ahead because this is with Calliope and or like Alt Calliope, Aradia, and Solix, who was just hanging around. Solix doesn't give a shit. He's not partaking in these conversations. He's just there. He is Aradia's arm candy and nothing else.
Yeah. They've cut back to these people a few times, right? Like maybe that's why it seemed familiar.
They have. I just thought I remember this like specific conversation, like about like a him who is going to fall that she has to go contact. I don't know why they keep like in the dialogue, because it's like the dialogue is written in Homestuck where it is
Mhm.
like character name or handle in the majority of Homestuck and then the text. And they keep having Alt Calliope as Jade because she's in Jade's body. And I just feel like that is such a weird choice. It makes sense before it's Alt Calliope, but then like after that, like I don't understand why they keep labeling it as Jade. You are like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's such a weird choice. And they keep referencing how young the body is, which is also a weird choice because it's not relevant to anything. My thought was like maybe if they're trying to up the creepy factor of like these hollowed out eyes and like these void in place of an eye and like a dead teenage Jade is being like moved like puppeted around by a being beyond time and space, right? Alt Calliope, this mysterious person with mysterious motives and powers and stuff. and they can't do that well in writing as well as they can like with images. And so instead of like doing better, they just keep referencing how young the body is. I don't know. Yeah, that's most of what I had. Like there's a him who is going to fall and the chaos war is about to begin. The chaos war is such a the chaos of war would make more sense. I don't know what the chaos war is. It sounds like a Marvel movie.
Even after reading these, I mean, there's war going on. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
the war that they're talking about.
Yeah,
Because to call it a chaos war just sounds like this is more of a cosmic thing, maybe, but
right. Like maybe they're referencing what gets talked about a bit more in like the one of the final chapters that we have a Calliope and Aradia talking in that goes into more stuff. But I really feel like this was supposed to be the chaos of war.
mm.
But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong and I'm just not enlightened enough. I'm just a lesser being who can't understand these things, alt Calliope.
Mhm.
Yeah, so chapter 30 takes us to Jake's point of view on Jane's ship. Aren't we so happy to be
Mhm.
in this situation? I'm like glancing at your notes and you just have some very simple bullet points of like of this is probably the outline they gave each other, right? Whenever
Yeah.
they were writing this, they gave each other these outlines and never read any further details on what was going on with these chapters and just went on the vibes of the outline that you wrote.
Just 2 to 4 bullet points per chapter at this point.
Like five words per sentence max.
Jane's father has passed. Jane wants to do a genocide. Gamzee boops her on the nose. She tosses Gamzee.
Yeah, meanwhile, my chapter 30 notes take up like a whole page. So so I'm you should be used to this by now, both Moosey and the listeners. This is gonna be a lot of me talking because this is me. That's why I have a podcast. So yes, Jake is on Jane's ship. He gives Jane the news that her dad has passed, and she is so shitty about it. Like up until that point of like, there's clearly nothing Jake could say that was important. To the point that after he tells her, she still has a moment where she's like dismissing him because clearly what he said was not worth her attention. And then it dawns on her that, oh, that was an important thing. And like she actually like in her shock lets Jake express affection and sympathy, like by hugging her and holding her and talking to her as she processes this, because their relationship is fucked and abusive. But yes, Dad Crocker stopped an assassination attempt on the president. So that's how he died. And to get around Jane being able to use her powers, he got blown to smithereens.
And don't show the action happening, just tell it afterwards.
That's the epilogue's way. And yeah, and part of me is like, I wonder if like maybe they were thinking about going like full balls on like actually having Jane's dad assassinated rather than them trying to assassinate the president, because that would be like a really fucking like huge ballsy move from the rebellion and would probably do more than assassinating the president to like show that they were serious or whatever. But I think that maybe they thought that it would just be to make the rebellion too unsympathetic, and maybe add stakes. Who knows? They were wrapping this up. They couldn't have any higher stakes
What
than this.
stakes are there?
The stakes are Jane is genocidal and trying like after this she's like, "No, I'm going full genocidal on them now. I will wipe them all out. Just make sure they never ever think of a rebellion again." Which, oh my god, of course. Like skipping ahead a little bit, but like the final conversation with Alt Calliope and Aradia, like Aradia tells the story of Karkat's ancestor, the Signless, and like him doing a rebellion and then failing and then like the rebellion getting wiped and like, okay, you get it. Anyway,
Just a lot of
so
war going on off screen.
yeah, a lot of war going on off screen, and Jane obviously, she talks about the genocide and says a bunch of like explicitly xenophobic shit, right? Like, I mean, she has been, but this is like still like as explicit as you can get xenophobic. And Gamzee's like, "Hey, that's xenophobic and genocidal," and she like obviously says that that's not what's happening. And he does his little cute nose boop like he usually does, and she can't fucking stand it. Like, it does not work like it did before because this time her dad's dead. So she's like gonna kick him off. And so he's like, "No, don't you know that I need you?" And she stops and considers this. And then he says, I don't have the full quote, but he talks about how like he's been addicted to super slime and that was a real bad time for him. And she's been like such a huge help getting over his addiction and like just helping him. And he's been relying on her for so long. And he ends it with, with the nightmares, I can't sleep without holding on to a motherfucker. And that's when she says something like, she sneers and said she should have known it was just gonna be about that, and that's when she kicks him off, was that line, and I don't understand that. I assume that they're trying to imply that this was, like, about sex, that he needed her for sex, but that's not how it reads. It does not read like he's talking about sex. It's nightmares, I can't sleep without holding on to a motherfucker. Like, it is continuing to emphasize that she is a person of comfort and stability in his life, and this is a line out of an old Gamtav fan comic. Like, it is a cute Gamtav line that is used now to prove that Gamzee is actually just, like, gross and creepy and doesn't actually care for Jane, I guess, is the implication here. And, like, I wanna emphasize, she and Gamzee got together when Gamzee was at a maximum 17 years old. He had been cut off from all of his other friends, and, like, none of his friends really wanted anything to do with him because he's a gross, weird, terrible guy, so of course they wouldn't wanna hang out with him, and also his friends are dealing with, like, other important shit, and they are now, like, 5 years older than him or whatever. 7 years? Whatever. And so he gets with Jane, who is an incredibly powerful person and is one of the few gods of the New World using her influence as a god, and she is incredibly xenophobic, she's incredibly abusive, she grooms this troll teenager for 16 years, who then, like we find out, has been opening up to her about his issues with addiction and is using her as a coping mechanism. And he is completely cut off from all of his other friends for being with the person doing a troll genocide. She is his support network, her and her alone. That's their relationship, and they don't want you to think about that being their relationship because they don't care about that, because they both want this to be a realistic portrayal about how things happen, and this is the real gritty life. You wanted to see what happens next. Well, shit goes bad. People have like bad relationships and turn fascist, but they also want the cartoon character of Gamzee,
Mm,
and you can't think of that reality of what that actually means.
yeah, and then he just unceremoniously, like, dies later.
He gets thrown off the ship or something. He doesn't die. He shows
Well
up later.
well, doesn't Vriska kill him a little bit later?
Yeah, yeah, we'll get
So,
to that.
yeah.
But yeah, and it's just like the addiction thing is also making fun of Gamzee fans who do talk about his addiction to Soper Slime. And like because it's mentioned in the comic like repeatedly that shit can mess with your head, and like they're just they're just making fun of Gamzee fans. Like that's what this is. That's what the
Mm,
whole Candy Epilogue has been. And it's dumb.
mhm.
But, I say I don't blame Jake for being relieved right after this because, like, as much as, like, Gamzee was a victim, Jake was also a victim, and Gamzee was used in the abuse of Jake, so, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I get it. It's fine. And, like, Gamzee is an adult now, so it's not like yeah, Jake's fine with that. I end it with, "Anyway, Jane wants to kill Carcat, sky is blue." Chapter 31. Go ahead and read your summary of the situation.
Vriska needs to get back, i.e., she, like, fell from the sky as well or something?
Yeah, yeah, the last we left off is she had fallen out of a hole like Jade did, like dead Jade
Right.
did.
John dubs her parentheses Vriska because she isn't the first Vriska on Earth C, because the child named after Vriska, or the clone child. And then John recaps the backstory for parentheses Vriska, and then Gamzee shows up.
Technically, it's not a clone, it's just that, like, it is the first, like, actual birth of trolls, the first actual hatching of trolls using the mother grub.
Okay, I
But,
see.
like, they used because, like, how you trolls reproduce is they put a bunch of their, like, genetic material together into the mother grub, and then trolls pop out. Because they
Mhm,
only had the 12 trolls to work for they used the original 12 trolls to work from instead of, like, getting from the entire troll population for some reason, and so it makes more sense that working only off of 12 trolls, it isn't inherently, like, entirely unlikely that a basically that's just Vriska pops out. It's
Mhm.
not the most likely, but like,
Yeah.
12 versus like hundreds of thousands or however many trolls are
Mhm.
usually used. Okay, my notes. I love parentheses Vriska. I love when there is a parentheses Vriska. Parentheses Vriska agrees that finding a clone of your ex, adopting it, and naming it after your ex while deciding she died heroically in battle for no reason is stupid. But listen, it's fine if we write a bad story as long as we have a character point out that the story is bad. Because like she does a couple other things about how like the shit John's telling her is stupid. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine, I
Mhm.
guess. Oh my god, sorry. I wrote these a few days ago, so now I'm like rereading and seeing my shit. So the Candy epilogue musical I keep referencing? I wrote like two-ish songs after the end of Candy before Homesick 2 came out and drained my desire to work on it, and I think I had Vriska yell at John to do his retcon powers to go back and choose me. I think that would have been fun. Like, it doesn't go as planned necessarily, but that's good because it fucks up Dirk's plan and things get weird. Because, like, it's weird that Vriska's like, no, John, you talking about how you chose the wrong thing doesn't fucking matter. You're not important. The last several epilogues here are just people telling, like, John, you think you're important. You're not, you piece of shit. You dumb piece of shit. How dare you think your choice is important that you were told was so important that the fate of the universe, the fate of Paradox Space hung on it. You fucking idiot. How dare you think that was important, you self-important up your own asshole. Friska's in on that, even though I think if she found out that she was in a non-canon timeline, she'd be like, John, you fucking shithead, take me over to the right timeline immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. John explaining everything he thinks in the canon timeline is his fault because he didn't choose meat. And he says it's almost like the God tier rules were designed to reward us for being useless pieces of shit because, like, they can only die if they die a heroic or a just death. So as long as they're not doing anything particularly good or bad, they're fine. And that's funny. And John explains that, like, is very sad about Terezi. He's like, did you see Terezi? I was kind of hoping that she was with you because Vriska's like, oh, now I haven't seen her. Last I thought she was going off to fight the Jacks with the Striders. And John's like, no, that's been, from my point of view, it's been years. I don't know how long it was for hers, but she has been looking for you for so long. And the last time I talked to her, she thought she was dying, and I haven't talked to her since. And Vriska's like, wow, John, you sound pretty broken up about this. Were you in love with her or something? And then gets mad about his stupid, dumb crush that she doesn't have time to deal with. And I'm like, listen, I know Vriska's a bad morale, but like, she would have more of a reaction to finding out Terezi might be dead after spending potentially years looking for her. This is such a non-fucking reaction for Vriska to have. It's insane.
It's like, you mad, bro?
Yeah, right. Like, it's like, oh, I can't believe you're having so many emotions about Terezi being dead. What a fucking wimp ass. But like, and this is later on kind of retcons this attitude again because a different person must have written that epilogue and didn't read this one because they're fucking idiots. It's badly written.
Mm.
And then Friska being like, I don't care about whatever the fuck canon is supposed to be. Friska, you love relevance. You're a light player. Your whole thing is being in the spotlight of the narrative. You not being in canon would be extremely upsetting to you because canon is not relevant and you need to be relevant. It's your whole gimmick. Every time you start being okay with not being relevant, everything has to go to shit to get rid of your characterization to turn you back into someone who cares about relevance in order for things to get going. So you talking about wanting to go back is you wanting to go back, like you care about canon. You care about canon. I don't know what this is. Like, she has broken the fourth wall before to bring the narrative back on her because she cares about being relevant and in the canon.
Yeah.
And also, like, her the way she expresses how angry she is in this is so fucking weird. I don't really have, like, I feel like I'd have to read, like, everything she said to explain the vibes I'm trying to get, but, like, she doesn't act like this when she's angry for maybe more than a few sentences or a paragraph, like, in actual canon, and then she, like, turns into, like, twisting it into her favor or, like, doing something like, she does something else about it, right? Like,
Mhm.
she turns it into something else, or like, I don't know, she doesn't just stay like a drop to the ground and screaming like a toddler having a tantrum, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, Gamzee pops up covered in dirt and tells Vriska she needs redemption, and Vriska screams at him.
Sigh.
Yeah. Chapter 32. What's your notes?
Vriska snaps and beats up Gamzee, and he looks at her with lust.
That is almost exactly what I said. Candy Epilogue 7, Gamzee's no good, very bad day. And then they make out.
Yeah.
Here's the thing I'm gonna say here. The narrative goes back and forth between explicitly referring to them as making out and referring to what they do in ways that I would not use to refer to people making out. There has been discussion in the fandom as whether or not they actively fucked.
I couldn't really tell, honestly.
Yeah, like, cause like, she says that, like, her, like, lips smash against his face or some shit, and then sometimes it's making out, and sometimes it's, like, shoving a tongue down, like, a clown's throat, and then sometimes it's, like I forget, I don't think I got all the exact quotes for things. I think either interpretation is fine, I don't know. The whole, like, Gamzee Vriska thing here is weird and bad, and we still have several more times that we'll be getting into it.
Mhm. Have there been any other well, I mean, I know there's been sex in the book or implied sex or whatever, but I don't know, it just seems weird to be like, "I'm gonna go suddenly have sex right now." I don't know, but that's also me, is like
Yeah.
the frustrated person always watching movies being like, "Why are there's a Terminator after them, why are they having sex?"
Yeah, I think the thing is it's supposed to be, like, high adrenaline plus, like, the trolls sort of, like, socially expected hate fucking, so, like, being, like, enraged at enough at that point, and I can see it turning into, like, at the very least, like, making out, teenage hormones on, Vriska's side, Gamzee is just a gross loser pervert in the epilogues on his side. Like, I think that's supposed to be it, but it is definitely a weird choice that they made for this to happen, and I feel like it's only to like, it's partially to bring Vriska down to a low, to have her at, like, a lower point than she was before, and then also to show that Gamzee is a, creepy, gross weirdo, and then also to give justification for Vriska to kill Gamzee later.
Or I guess this is how writing works.
That's the epilogues. I guess this is how writing works. Genuinely, I know I keep saying it, but, like, I could agree with every choice that is made in the epilogues, every character interpretation, every plot beat, and it is still objectively terribly written. There's
Yeah.
no getting around that. Like, it's just badly written. That is not I mean, I guess, like, it's inherently a subjective thing, but, like, there's more examples coming up.
Mhm.
Chapter 33. What is your summary?
So, Teen Friska gives John a hug unexpectedly, and Rose thanks John for his candy decision. She is grateful to have had happiness, and finality was always up to him. He finally decides to allow it.
Finally decides to allow it for the first of about maybe 3 times in the next few chapters.
Yeah. And
Jesus
then also
Christ.
everyone else is like, by the way, either like, your decision doesn't matter, or I'm happy that we are in candy timeline, or whatever.
Yes, that's what's said over and over again, and it's so like, that is the example, the big example of the next few chapters of how terribly written this is. But yeah, Rose suddenly starts caring about what canon means again, I guess, and suddenly explains to John what canon is. And Rose is like, at least with a conflict, we have something to do, something to strive for, and against something to believe in. As like, hey, it's fine that you made the decisions and things suck right now because like, hey, we have stuff to do. I'm not bored, and I'm like, bro, Rose, trolls are dying. A genocide has been happening for I say 15, but I think it's been 16 years and
Mhm.
unchecked for a lot of them. Like, I get what you're saying, sort of, but I think every blood vessel in Karkat's body would explode if that's how he heard you talking about the oncoming genocide of his species. Is that you're finally fucking happy? You're so glad because you never thought you would be happy because you're so smart and you know too many things. And people who know things, according to your 13-year-old wizard fic, is that people who know things can't be happy. So you thought you were destined to that because you were 13. Sorry. That's also how I felt at 13 was I was incredibly smart and incredibly smart people couldn't be happy because I had many mental health disorders. It's so dumb. I'm happy with my wife and my child and the war we are fighting in to prevent a genocide.
Yeah.
And I don't think that saying you're so glad that this timeline happened It'd be different if it was, like, at a celebration or something, right? Like, at a reprieve, like, even with all the hardship, I'm happy that we are here, but they are
Mhm.
on a battlefield right now. They are on a battlefield, and she's like, "Well, at least we have something to do and believe in. I didn't believe in shit before this. At least Jane's a fascist to bring us all together." Fucking hell, Rose. And, John's like, "Yeah, you're right. What the fuck do I care about truth or canon?" I mean, I get he's looking back on the fact that he has a literal actual child that he's been restricted from seeing for, like, 5 plus years, but also, like, "I've been so silly for worrying about all this canon shit all this time, I guess." It's such a quick wrap up. Damn, I really thought it was a quick wrap up, didn't I? I thought this was it. I forgot. I forgot that we covered this a few more times without acknowledging
Yeah.
that we've already covered this before.
And even at this chapter, I also put, I thought we were gonna be wrapping up this story, but it feels so damn long. Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing here?
Yeah, absolutely.
What is the rising tension for the 3rd act? Question mark?
Yeah. So Vriska yelling at him about him being stupid about canon, and Rose finally caring enough about canon, in the that she didn't care about for 15, 16 years to tell John that he shouldn't care about it because she's happy, and she's saying it while on a battlefield while Jane is attempting a genocide, is such a wild choice for this conversation to happen. 16 years you have been like, "Why would you care about canon? Who cares about canon?" And suddenly she cares enough about it to be like, "Well, I'm happy, so you should stop caring about it." I forget if you already read the quote, but the, finality was always up to him. He finally decides to allow it. Would be such a good place to, like, it's a good chapter ender. It would be a good, like, epilogue ender. It would be a good character arc ender. It's none of those things. I mean, it's a chapter ender, but it's not the other things. Chapter 34. What are your notes?
The battle's going on. Friska is hate dating Tavros. Vriskatine sees something when she jumps John, and then I don't know what she sees.
Vriska Merriam Lalonde is talking to Harry Anderson. Harry Anderson is like, "My dad doesn't care about politics or anything," and is just wrong. Harry Anderson's just wrong. Like, I guess at one point they're like, "Yeah, John doesn't care anything about politics." I'm like, "He does. He is one of the only people who called Jane a fascist to her face and to other people's faces, and has actively talked about how she raped Jake." He is like bottom down from like Kanaya and Karkat and how much he actually cares about politics, but he doesn't use the same words at them, so everyone
Yeah.
pretends he doesn't care, including the narrative. Vriska's like, "Yeah, well, he says that, but he's here right now. My mom's saying a bunch of gay shit to him." Hey, why is the girl with 2 women for parents doing a homophobia from the 2000s? What is this?
Yeah.
Why is she describing their emotional talk as gay shit? Where did this come from, like, genuinely? Like, both as a Watsonian and a Doylist perspective, why is this line here?
Mhm.
The epilogues are weirdly homophobic. Like, there was, whenever in the Meat epilogue, they were describing, like, Dirk and Jake's powers in a very gay way, like, in a very homophobic, like, flamboyant pink powers and, like, really homophobic ways to describe Dirk and Jake's powers, which like, why is this in this? Who wrote this? 5
Blame it all on a
people.
hussy.
5 people wrote this. This
And
went through
nobody
5
proofread.
people. Right. I mean, it's kind of like whenever, the Skynet lore drop happened and people were like, "Hey, this sucks on so many levels, this is very bad." Like, it was extremely anti-Semitic, right? Among, like, other shit. It's been a
Mhm.
while since I read them, so I can't remember all the fucking issues, but there were a lot of issues with it, right? And Hussey would like apologized and I had apparently run it past people. And when they said it sucked, he thought like they thought that it was like a joking sucked. Like they were just ribbing them about it sucking. And like I think they were. I think they're all backtracking. Like after this came out and like this got past 4 people who were not Hussey, I think they were just joking with him about, how it sucked. I think that it was published and everyone thought it was fine until there was the backlash.
Mm.
Which, that Skynet lore drop we find out later is canon to the epilogues.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll get into that when we get there. But yeah, I don't know, I forget I didn't write a whole lot of quotes about, but, like, Vriska's a terrible girlfriend. What, Vriska Miriam Lalonde hears or catches is Gamzee and Vriska making out.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Making out again, like they're very unclear about it, but yeah, whatever they're doing in the bushes is what is said. And Vriska and parentheses Vriska both start shrieking in a pitch John only ever heard one time before. It was a sound that once accompanied the end of everything, a sound once heard the night he dreamt in anime. That's so dumb. That's so dumb, and also misogynistic the more I think about it. Which is again, there's like some weird misogyny in here too. Like I remember like towards the beginning of Candy, or maybe in the prologues, whenever John was like Roxy squealed. Wait, no, it's misogynistic to say squeal. It was like a girlish scream, and I'm like, that's more misogynistic. And then with the whole like, hey, Harry Anderson, don't say wuss. What's wrong with being a wuss? Unlearn your toxic masculinity. What are you talking about? Being a coward is considered negative. It's not toxically masculine to say. It's because they wanted to say pussy. They wanted to say
Mm.
don't be a pussy and then don't call other people pussy, but they didn't say it for some reason. Like it's weird. This is a weirdly homophobic, weirdly misogynistic work that just like it isn't so blatant on the front. It just sometimes is like, huh, that's odd.
That was a weird thing.
Yeah, it's like if someone who primarily wrote like a if there was like a cis man who primarily wrote fantasy novels in like the 80s suddenly like came in and started like helping with other people writing, and you're like, there's a weird flavor to this book for some reason. And then you hear who helped write it and you're like, oh, never mind, that makes sense. Okay, I got it now.
Yeah. It's like me rereading books from when I was a child because I was a child in the
Oh my
90s and
god.
being like, "Oh, oh."
Do not reread the Xanth series by Piers Anthony. Don't read that. Don't read anything by Piers Anthony. Apparently an actual IRL creep. Like, I won't get into it because that's not what this is about, but, like, yes, you did remind me of I reread a Piers Anthony book that I remember really, really liking, and it like, "Oh, this is, like, super creepy and misogynistic and, like, really pervy in some very uncomfortable ways that apparently align with his real life beliefs and actions." So, yes, I get it.
Yeah.
Sucks. Sucks.
Just but the stereotype of, like, a 1980s fantasy author is, like,
Yeah.
just very apt. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely. Like
that
Dragonlance.
flavor. Yeah.
Yeah, Dragonlance is probably a less, like, problematic example to bring up because that is, like, the standard. It's just I really like Xanth. But yeah, the Dragonlance series is exactly that, even though that also had a woman writing on it, at least one, but still. I digress, as I do. But yeah, just like an 80s fantasy author. Maybe we'll just keep that part in and ignore everything else I said. I don't know, up to you, Dami. It's up to Dami to keep in whatever she wants to keep in and take out whatever she wants to take out. If she wants to edit an episode that is just every time I say Jane, 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 that's her prerogative.
Mhm.
Okay, sorry.
It would be fun.
Yeah, but like it's so dumb to be like what John heard in his anime dreams was the shriek of one like teenage parentheses Vriska being caught making out with a clown by a genetic quote unquote clone of her, like her genetic descendant catching her doing that and also screaming. It was two girls screaming because one was caught making out with a gross guy.
Yeah.
Is the end of the world like an anime dream sound.
Just the sound of my 20s. I don't know.
Yeah, right. It's so weird. It's just so weird. Okay, chapter 35. What you got for us?
I'm gonna call her parenthetical Vriska because that sounds a lot nicer. But parenthetical Vriska kissed Gamzee? Question mark. Gamzee says that she took advantage of him. Just a whole chapter of her saying nobody will find out, and then she kills him.
um yes. Parenthetical Vriska is wallowing in the shame of making out with the clown and getting caught in the act by Vriska, and just like generally cringing at all her past actions. Not even just like with the clown stuff, but like also reflecting on how cringe she was as a 13-year-old. Which fucking mood. You do
Yeah.
one cringe thing and suddenly every cringe thing you've ever done in your life is just like brought up in your face. Yeah. So Gamzee is taking out his phone to text Karkat about him just making out with Vriska. So I got some quotes. He and I aren't as tight as the boys we used to roll as, but he should get his kick on about what a highly unanticipated yet bitchin' piece of hot and heavy horseplay I was just made to partook. I was just made to partook. And Vriska's like, you were made to, or parenthetical Vriska's like, you were made to. And it's like, on the one hand, yes, he probably could have overpowered her, maybe. As we find out later, maybe not. But, like, she was beating the shit out of him and then suddenly making out with him. Like, I'm not gonna say it's a black and white out, like, sexual assault, but it's also not an unreasonable thing from his point of view, right? Like, especially as someone who was, again, groomed for 16 years as a piece of ass. He was primarily there for fucking with Jane, so I would understand, but it's not supposed to be about that. It's not supposed to be a reflection on the abuse that he has been dealing with for 16 years. He is just gross and he is just misrepresenting things because clearly Vriska is the victim here and not Gamzee. And he is just a gross guy, and we're not supposed to see how maybe this reflects on 16 years of potential sexual abuse. Yeah, and then Vriska being like, "Well, I retroactively didn't consent." Because Gamzee's like getting uncomfortable with it and like, "Hey, maybe I didn't consent with this." And Vriska's like, "Well, I retroactively didn't consent." And like Gamzee's talking about feeling unsafe, and it's supposed to be funny because the narrative doesn't care about like all this shit I just said. He's just gross and horny, and he's been considered like an idiot who didn't like know anything about himself and like didn't know what he was talking about, and he said stupid stuff on purpose to make Jane mad. We get a description of her murdering Gamzee, like with her bare hands, like strangling him to death. And I don't know what we're supposed to do with this. Like, it's weird. It's a weird thing to have happen. This entire thing was a weird thing to have happen. It feels like an excuse for Vriska to have killed Gamzee, even though that is the least narratively satisfying pairings of like murder and victim. Gamzee didn't do shit to Vriska like ever. They had to make up a new thing for Gamzee to do to Vriska, by which make horny eyes at her to get her to make out with him. Because like there are many more other people who it would be more narratively satisfying for Gamzee to be killed by if they wanted him dead. I don't know what we're supposed to do with this. It's just
Yeah.
so weird.
Or why did he have to die? Like, what
Yeah.
is the point? Because it's not really brought up after that much.
Yeah, he's just used as a pillow for them to lay their head on while while the Friskas are chatting. Like
We just needed a pillow, so there we did what we had, what we worked with.
I'm gonna do a mild spoilers for early Homestuck 2, which you can trust me that it's early because I noped out pretty fucking quickly. This does become relevant in Homestuck 2 at least a little. However, I want to note extremely importantly that Hussey says in the essay about bridges and off ramps that they explicitly didn't have anything planned after this. They might have been lying and they did have something planned, but they were just leaving it open to the possibility that something could after. And like, people are, say that they like there was this whole outline that they were following, or like they had some sort of notes that they were following. But at least in Bridges and Off Ramps, Hussey says they didn't necessarily have anything planned for what came after.
Mhm.
And I kind of believe that on some level, considering how this is written. You can read this and realize they didn't have plans for what came after.
I don't think they had plans for each chapter while they were
Right,
writing this.
right. They had general vibes they were going for specific parts of the story. Like this is the part where John has an existential crisis and everyone tells him to stop having an existential crisis, and he's dumb for having one and he's stupid and he's an idiot. And he's like, "You're right. I have been an idiot. You're so true." Anyway, I'm gonna forget that I had this realization in 2 seconds because they all just knew that that was the theming for John of this section of the epilogues, and so they all do it the exact same way with different characters.
Mhm.
And yeah, so like yes, so at this moment, Gamzee has been cast aside from Jane. I think it's just kind of like there's nothing left for him to do. His only importance was with Jane in being propped up by like, having Jane as a backing for him to do his like redemption religion with ghosts. And now that he is that Jane no longer allows him by her side, he is useless. He might as well just be dead now because we have nothing else we want to do with him. Is what it feels like.
Yeah.
Like legitimately, what else would he do?
They could just not mention him all the entire story, just like Callie. Like,
Right, right. Callie gets brought up on occasion to be like, and she just had these hard eyes at Roxy because she will be in love with Roxy forever and she will follow Roxy wherever she goes. And she has no autonomy of her own because even though she was clearly into Roxy and maybe dating her, she gave up the second that John decided to stay so Roxy and John could be together. And we just bring her up whenever it's very clear that she just wants to be with Roxy. Thank you to Dami for composing the theme song and editing the episode. You can find other podcasts she edits, or hire her to edit your own at dominothief.card.co. Shout out to Danny the Spoonlord, our fakest fan tier supporter. You can become a supporter and receive bonus content for as little as $1 a month at ko-fi.com/jaxyax, or simply give a one-time tip. For information on and links to my other projects, head over to jaxyax.com. Thanks again for listening.